Let's go to page 473, and this is lesson 7.6, and this lesson is to apply the sine and cosine ratio. Okay. So the sine and cosine ratios are trigonometric ratios for the acute angles that involve the length of the leg and the hypotenuse of a right triangle. Okay. So here's a key concept, so make sure you know all your ratios. So it says, let triangle ABC be a right triangle with acute angle A and the sine of angle A and cosine of angle A written as sine A and cosine A. So again, this is not sin, okay? This is sine A and cosine A, but defined as follows. So sine A is the opposite of a hypotenuse. So sine A is the opposite of a hypotenuse. Okay? And cosine A is adjacent over hypotenuse. So those are name of definition you need to memorize by heart. So you need to know sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you just use, use the acronym, so SOH, so it'd be SOH, CAH, so SOH, CA, and tangent is opposite over adjacent, TOA, right? So that's how you memorize it. So SOH, CA, TOA. That's how you help you to remember use the acronym to remember your sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, so example 1, find the sine ratio. Okay, so find sine of S. So remember, sine is the opposite of a hypotenuse. Okay, so sine is equal to RT over SR, so equal to 63 over 65. You should calculate, you get that. Okay, so sine of R is this angle over here. So sine is the opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, it would be ST over SR equal to 16 over 65. Okay. So whenever you're doing this kind of problem, you can always write down your ratio and you substitute the numbers in there. Okay. So let's go to example 2. Find cosine ratio. Okay. So again, you have this triangle. So find cosine of U. So here's your angle U. So find cosine. Again, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay. So cosine is adjacent. So that's UV over hypotenuse, UW. So you go to 18 over 30. So you reduce, you get 3 over 5. Okay. Now to find the cosine of W, so again, this is the angle that is your reference. So you have to base on this angle. So cosine of W would be adjacent over hypotenuse. So it would be WV over UW. So it would be 24 over 30. And again, you reduce, you get that. Okay? Okay, now let's go to example 3. Okay, example 3, use a trigonometric ratio to find a hypotenuse. Okay, so you have this triangle right over here. Say dog run. So you want to string cable to make a dog run from 2 corners of the building as shown. Okay. And it says write and solve proportions, use a trigonometric ratio to approximate the length of cable that you will need. So you have this triangle over here. Okay. So you have this angle. So here's your 35 degrees, and this is opposite over hypotenuse. So this is always the hypotenuse. So opposite of hypotenuse. So you have to think, okay, opposite over hypotenuse. That's going to be the sine ratio. Okay. So you have to know the relationship between what you have and figure out which function you're using. You need to use sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay. So from this angle, you have the opposite of a hypotenuse. So what you do is write down opposite of hypotenuse. So that would be sine function. So sine of 35 equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So equal to 11 over x. Okay? Then once you do that, again, you cross multiply. Right? You want to move the x to the top. Okay? And then you divide. So you get that. Again, use your calculator, enter it, and that's the number you get. Okay? Okay. Let's go to the page 475, angles. If you look up in an object, the angle your line of sight makes with a horizontal line is called the angle of elevation. So if you go up from the horizontal, it's elevation. Elevation means lift, right? Go up. Okay, so again, the horizontal is your reference. So if you go up, that's the angle of elevation. Okay, again, horizontal is your reference. So if you have to go down, that's angle of depression. Right? And notice these angles are congruent because these are alternate interior angle, right? You got two parallel lines, you got transversal. So these two are alternate interior angles, so they are congruent. Okay. So anyway, if you have to go up, that's elevation. If you have to go down, that's depression. Okay, example 4, it says find the hypotenuse using an angle of depression. Okay, skiing. You are skiing on a mountain with an altitude of 1,200 meters. Okay, so the height is 1,200 meters, right? Altitude means height. Okay, the angle of depression is 21 degrees. So remember, depression means go down. So here's your horizontal. Depression means go down. So you are horizontal, you go down 21 degrees. It says about how far do you ski down the mountain? So you're looking for this distance. Okay, so again, you have an opposite and a hypotenuse. Okay, opposite over hypotenuse. That is, again, you have to figure it's a sine, cosine, or tangent. In this case, opposite and the hypotenuse, that's sine. So write down the function. So sine 21 degree equal to opposite over hypotenuse. You substitute the number. So opposite is 1,200 and x is your hypotenuse. Okay, so you can multiply both sides by x. So you get that. Then after that, you divide both sides. So again, these are basic algebra, right? So make sure you do your steps, because if you try to do anything in your head and do it in one step, you're going to get, your mind play tricks on you, and you're going to put things in the wrong place, okay, and make careless mistakes. So you can do like what I'm doing over here, do it step by step, okay? And notice, go down, don't go sideways, right? And go down, and notice none of your equal sign, okay? None of your equal sign. So that will cut down, not only you will keep things organized, but also cut down a lot of careless mistakes. Again, when you skip steps and you go sideways, it's very easy to make careless mistakes. Okay, so anyway, so solve, okay, move things around. So now, after that, you're ready to use calculator. When you have variable by itself, you're ready to use your calculator and enter that, and that's what you get. Okay, so you will ski about 3,348 meters down the mountain. Okay, let's go to example 5. Find leg length using an angle of elevation. Okay, skateboard ramp. You want to build a skateboard ramp with a length of 14 feet. Okay, you want to build the ramp with 14 feet. And the angle of elevation is 26 degrees. So you can hit your horizontal and you go up 26 degrees. You need to find the height and the length of the base of the ramp. So you're looking for this and this. Okay? So in this case, you can, if you use, so to find this, you have to use sine function. To find this, you have to use cosine function. Okay? So to find the height, again, the height, this is opposite, right? It's facing, so it's opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite of hypotenuse, that's your sine function. Okay? So sometimes you may have to start over here. Write down your function first, and write down your ratio. So you got opposite, okay, that's what you're looking for, and over hypotenuse. Okay, those are two that involve. So when you write these, and you have to think, okay, what function is opposite of hypotenuse? Well, then you have to go to sine, cosine, tangent. Then you know that sine is the one that for opposite of hypotenuse. Okay, so to start with this, you get that. Okay, then after that, you substitute numbers in here. So you got x over 14, cross multiply, okay, and then you divide. And then you use calculate. Well, this one you don't want to divide. You have x already. So cross multiply. use your calculator, punch in the numbers, then that's what you get. Okay? So the height is that. Okay? Now, notice you got a height, and this is a right triangle, so you can use a Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So you can have the a squared plus b squared equal to c squared. However, if you do that, your answer may be off a little bit, because this answer is already round off a little bit. So this answer is already approximately off a little bit. And if you use the one that one is already off to calculate, then your answer might be off by a little bit. Okay, just be aware of that. Okay, but usually it's not a problem. Okay, but you don't want to use Pythagorean theorem in this case because they want you to practice with your trigonometric ratio. Okay, so don't use Pythagorean theorem because that kind of defeat the purpose of this exercise. Okay, to find the length of the base. Okay, so you have this and this, right? So again, that's your adjacent, but because it's touching the angle, so it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And so adjacent over hypotenuse, that's your cosine. So that's how you get a cosine. So you can, a lot of time you start with this, and then from here you're going to figure, okay, it's a sine, cosine, or tangent. So once you do that, then you can substitute the numbers in here. Right? So you can, hypotenuse is 14. Cross multiply, okay. And notice they use a different letter, so that way it's less confusing, because if you use x over and over and over, then something can confuse, okay, which one is x? This is the x or this is the x, right? So sometimes you use a different letters, okay? So anyway, so over here you cross multiply, so you get that, and use your calculator, and you get that. Okay, so the base would be 12.6 feet. Okay, so example 6, use a special right triangle to find a sine and cosine. Okay, use a special right triangle to find the sine and cosine of 60 degrees. Okay, so you have a triangle at 60. Okay, so this is your 30-60 special triangle. So right away, you know the ratio of three sides, right? So the one is facing the 30 degree is 1, and the hypotenuse is 2. So 1, 2, square root of 3. So make sure you know your basic special triangle. Okay, you're going to use it a lot, and you got to know that by heart. Okay, so sine of 60 degrees. So here's your 60 degrees. So sine is opposite of a hypotenuse. Okay, so it's opposite of again is opposite of a hypotenuse. So that's square root of 3 over 2. Okay, now the cosine of 60 degrees is adjacent of a hypotenuse. So it'd be 1 over 2.